It could become a thought partner for you. It could become a partner in broadcasting your positioning. And so that's really where the opportunity lies. It's never been a more even playing field than now for the small business owner, where back before when I, 2008, 9, having those conversations with big brands that I worked with, you couldn't compete with that if you were a small business owner. And guess what? Now you can. We have the ability to do that, which makes it super exciting.
Hey y'all, it's Danny C. Welcome to the Happy Life Agenda podcast. As you all know, this show is dedicated to empowering women to live their happiest life through creating access to insights, resources, and experts. And that is why today I am so excited to bring you my amazing guest who has actually faced the very real struggles of being a mom, climbing the corporate ladder, and then recognizing that the climb to the top and being at the top is less than dreamy. And it kind of takes away from the things that we want to accomplish in our personal lives, like loving our kids and spending time with them. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Patty Dominguez. She is a powerhouse marketer and has evolved into this amazing AI strategist. And that is what we're going to cover today. So Patty, welcome to the show. I know you have an amazing career history, and I hardly did it justice in that intro. So please tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Danny, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I always love sharing whatever I can, because I actually came across this thing a while, I think it was 2 years ago. I said, I wish somebody would create a collection of, like, dang, I wish somebody would have told me that, because that happens a lot when you're starting out your entrepreneurial career. So I got your back, girls. Got your back.
Yay.
Yes. So, I mean, really, long story short, I come from a very blue collar family, and the big dream was for me to go to school to get a good job in order for me to be a success, in my parents' eyes. And I was always a really good child that way. And that's what I did. And, fast forward into corporate, the higher the ladder I went, the more miserable I was. And that's the best way for me to explain it. And I couldn't understand why. I was like, why am I so unhappy? And so it wasn't until 2008 I got a pink slip. The market had shifted, got a pink slip. And I remember packing all my tchotchkes in a cardboard box, like the paintings from the kids that they had done at school. And I had them all in the box. And as I'm walking out, I'm like, oh my God, I felt really kind of pathetic, to be honest with you, because I was so jaded. I was like, I thought I did everything right. I thought I did what I was supposed to do, and it didn't matter. And what I discovered in that moment, I had this realization. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm no different than the French fry guy at McDonald's. I don't have an asset in my job, And it was just this seed of an idea that I was like, I'm never going to let that happen to me again. So I didn't know exactly what to do back then in 2009. As you know, the market shifted massively. It was a really tough time where I couldn't find work and all these things. But kind of right in the back of my head, I was thinking, I'm like, what can I do? What can I do? So I did go back to corporate for a little bit. But one of the things that I had very clear is, like, I need to create a path to become an entrepreneur. I don't know what it looks like, but I'm going to make it happen. And so in 2013, long story short, I turned down a promotion. I gave back stock options. People thought I was legitimately insane. Legitimately, like, what are you doing? Are you okay? Are you having a breakdown? That kind of thing, if any of you can relate. And it's a really lonely space when you have these ideas, right? You have these ideas, and yet you're looking around you and the environment is not supportive of that. But you don't know why you feel so strongly. And that's what I have found in so many cases, because I've had people contact me from corporate and said, how did you do it? Back then, there weren't really a lot of business coaches in the space to help you wrap your head around the concept of leaving a corporate job and the safety that comes along with it. And thankfully, we do have wonderful coaches, out there like you, who are really establishing that foundation for somebody to leave, and then to have the confidence and the courage to do so, and know that there is a path that you can take. So for that, I'm so excited. But it all comes down to this realization, like, you're not crazy, right? It's your higher self, or maybe your true north, or the internal compass that you have, that if you have that desire, just really listen to it. because there's something to be said about honoring the inside first before you see it on the outside. And that may sound a little woo, but I just know that to be the case. So, yes, long story short, went into entrepreneurship. I call it the best roller coaster ride ever, ups and
Yeah.
downs all the time. And so it's about finding your flow in that
Mhm.
and leapfrogging into what I do now. It's AI. So when your prospects ask AI who is a credible source, like who is the best coach in Chicago or who is the best accountant in New York, we want you to come up. And so we help to create that for you because AI platforms are where people are going to search for that kind of stuff. And so we have a whole strategy behind, or excuse me, after that, that helps you to establish that authority and credibility.
Oh my gosh, I love that. There's so much to unpack in what you said. And I mean, I know we have lots of stuff planned for this conversation, and then I think we even talked about getting back together to have a conversation. So I'm going to touch on the AI because that's really what I want to focus today. And then if
Yeah.
we have some time, I'll come back around to the other stuff. But before we dive into the AI, I do want to touch on one very important thing that you said, and that's about the calling. There that I got called crazy. Like, what are you doing, leaving your corporate job? Even people like later came back and like were like, "Hey, I started to hear my calling, and I thought you were crazy, but now I understand." I was like, "Oh, I didn't know you thought I was crazy." Um, but that is so important to this conversation because I was on a podcast and had just kind of like an epiphany as I was talking through our stories. Is I've wanted to be in radio from like 19 years old, and now fast forward 26 years later, and I'm doing podcasting, and that thread has probably been in my life and that calling, and I just ignored. And so, where would I be if I said, let me start paying attention to this today? So, going with what
Mhm.
Patty said, if you are hearing that calling, don't be afraid and listen to it and make the scary first step to just turn your attention there. So thanks for sharing that so much, Patty.
It's so important, and that's why these types of programs like your podcast, your coach, it's so important so that people know that there is an outlet, and surrounding yourself with the proper community and support is absolutely priceless. That's what I know to be sure. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, so true. So let's talk about AI because as I was researching for this conversation, I was really like blown away by what you have done. Is like you kind of taken a look at what AI is doing, and you've married search engine marketing with public relations and AI, and that is something that as an entrepreneur, even if I was still in corporate America and running a marketing department, I could benefit from this because it is the next evolution of search. And so I really want to start off by asking you, what we all think AI is a hindrance. We're kind of scared it's going to take our jobs, but you have, said, look, this is the direction that things are going. Google is no longer going to be the all-knowing source. So how do you help business owners take advantage of this new search engine?
So, just to take one step back, before I got into the AI space in 2001, I would help coaches, consultants, service based small business owners with creating their category of one. I would talk about the importance of positioning. Positioning is something that is so important. And in my corporate life, I worked with really, really brilliant people around how do you create a brand from the ground up. And so I really started to recognize, and it wasn't until I had this epiphany. I was on a consulting project, and it was like the agency and the brand managers and all the things, and we're all on the Zoom call. And I had this like massive epiphany. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe everyone is on this call because we're going to be launching a cookie. It was like a consumer packaged good. It was a cookie. And we're doing this for cookies, yet small business owners are not doing that for themselves, right? So I
Yeah.
was like, I'm going to do this for small business owners. So I did it for a really long time, and it's so important, and it still holds true because it's a fundamental thing. Like if you're not capturing mind share, right? If you are not very purposely directing and leading the conversation about the who you are, problem you solve, and how you solve it, that's new, unique, and interesting, you're
Yeah.
missing the boat. Okay. So fast forward into the era of AI. What's happening is, yes, it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And there are sometimes when I do talks and I'll ask people, I'm like, who here, it's okay to say this, is skeptical about AI? And inevitably, right, when I see people in the crowd, they're like arms folded. They're like, me, I'm going to confess. And so the whole idea here is to really switch that perspective, if that's how you feel about it, to just to say we need to be curious enough to
Mhm.
understand how to leverage it. Right? It could become a thought partner for you. It could become a partner in broadcasting your positioning. And so that's really where the opportunity lies. It's never been a more even playing field than now for the small business owner, where back before, when I, 2008, 9, having those conversations with big brands that I worked with, you couldn't compete with that if you were a small business owner. And guess what? Now you can. We have the ability to do that, which makes it super exciting. So if you're skeptical, really kind of put that skepticism on the side, because I want you to consider, listener, that there is a bigger opportunity than you're even that like not even thinking right now. And here's what I mean. Back in the 2000s, people were really like, how do I get on page one of Google, page one on Google? As the years have progressed, it's very difficult for you to rank unless you have that like well-established footprint. Well,
Mhm.
what's happening now is that people are going to these LLMs like ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini, right? All of these AI platforms, and they're searching like who is the best XYZ in XYZ town or city, etc.
Mhm.
So you have the ability to rank, and so you can have a proper program in order to do that. But what's really, really exciting is, even if you wanted the social proof, right? That is one of the markers of persuasion is really critical. So if you're a starting out coach, one of the hardest things to do is to say, but how do I put myself out there? I'm not credible yet. So
Okay.
that visibility and credibility is now in addition to positioning, in my opinion. Because if we can say that you were featured on Associated Press and Yahoo Finance and Business Insider, that gives you that credibility. So somebody landing on your page is saying, wow, they're legit. You can
Mhm.
do that now. We can do that now. And that's what's so exciting. If you wanted to take it that step further into a multi-month approach where you're really seeding the AI platform so that you're building that presence and the backlinks and all that good stuff, you
Mhm.
do have the ability to rank. So it's a really exciting time to do that. And so that's how you can utilize AI, because people are going to AI for these answers.
Oh my gosh, that's absolutely the truth. I mean, I'm sitting in meetings all of the time and where people are like, "Oh, let's just chat GPT it and finding this and finding that and what's the best." Google's the near me and chat GPT is who is the best. So that's such an important point. I want to touch on one of the things that you said, because this is a lot of what I do for my clients, is that brand positioning piece. And you said in there is like you've got to have everything buttoned up. And so, the first step is getting your brand positioning. I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs that I work with where I'm like, okay, so what do you say when somebody asks you, what do you do? And they're like, stumbling. And so if you can't walk into a networking event, you can't walk into a room, a party, anything, and somebody says, what do you do? And you're like trying so hard to paint a picture for them, then that's a signal to you that you need to work on, your offer and your brand. And then you'll be able to work with someone like Patty who can then get that brand out here. Because if you don't do that step first, then that credibility and stuff is harder to build, right? I mean, what you said about
Absolutely.
the cookie was that was a great analogy.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about it, this is actually a great thing because you help them with that positioning. Because I don't really do that type of work anymore. Although if somebody doesn't have their positioning clear, it's just so glaringly obvious, right? So
Right?
here's the thing that happens. A lot of people, when they say, okay, I'm going to become a coach or a fractional, what have you, they're a practitioner of what they do, but that doesn't mean that they're a marketer of what they do.
Exactly.
And this is the thing. It's like you're going to that cocktail party. So what do? I'm a coach. You understand that you just commoditized yourself, right? Like by saying that. Like, how is that exciting? How is that memorable? As
Right.
opposed to, how do you create some kind of a hook or something that it's clear around what it is that you do? So for me, it's like, okay, when prospects ask AI who to trust, we make sure it's you.
Yeah.
That's what I say. So then people are like, what? And that's what you want. And so here's the deal, it's an iterative process, meaning you're not going to nail it right out of the gate. but be curious enough, or when you have the opportunity, to work with someone like you, Danny, who you have a framework, you have a structure, you've been a CMO, so you understand the importance of how critical this is.
Yes.
And then so you iterate and you test it out in the market, because don't say, oh, it's not perfect, it's not right. Just test it, see what resonates. And what starts to happen, there's going to be a magical moment, in marketing, they call it the moment of truth, where somebody leans in and is like, tell me more about that.
Yeah.
That's how you know you nailed it. You know what I mean? So what we want to do is take that and translate it into all the touch points that you have, whether it's an AI or whatever. That's what you have to start with. It's like, if you don't have this foundational piece, you're building your brand on a house of cards. And this is where most people are so obsessed with, like, my website. I'm like, the website is okay, but that's a visual interpretation of what you're doing. And a lot of these people are templatizing, and that just is like another conversation.
Mhm.
Start with the positioning, start with the fundamentals. Otherwise, you're building your house on, it's a house of cards. That's what I see. So that is a huge, huge opportunity.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you for reiterating that, because I mean, I would even, and this is a question for you, is like, if someone comes to you and they don't have their positioning and all of that worked out, can they really even, get these interviews and the things that you help them align in order to, move forward with their credibility? Do you see
Yeah.
that too?
Yeah, we most definitely, I mean, before we start the engagement, it's like, okay, so what do you have? What do you have? And so we have the ability to help them in that space. But ideally, you want to do this as an exhaustive exercise, or like a comprehensive exercise, so that you know that you have that nailed down. And so that's where the work you're doing is so essential. It's so essential. I can't understand how people can possibly build like a real brand that is as memorable as possible and capturing the mind share. And so what I mean by that is, like, cocktail party again. Hey, I have this pain in my back or whatever. I don't know who to go to. And the person at the cocktail party is like, I have the chiropractor just for you. Right?
Mhm.
That person you have captured mind share as the chiropractor to go to. So we want to do that for you. So I want people to remember me, not only just in the AI space, because that's again becoming very commoditized very quickly, but when they're talking about credibility building with AI, I want them to think about me, right? How do I build trust in the trust economy using AI? I want them to think about me. So that's what we want to develop as small business owners. And it's super, super important to do that.
Yes. Oh my gosh, love it. So let's kind of pivot just a little bit, because I think some of the things that you've said, we started this conversation with, there tends to be a fear of AI. And so when I was looking into all of the things that you do, one of the things that stood out to me is you said that, you are able to offer, this hyper personalized experience and message, and AI will follow up automatically and intelligently. And so as a business owner, I find this intriguing, but also I get, like, I don't know, 5 or more DMs a day per social media that I can tell that it's a bot. And I'm really frustrated because I am genuinely, as a marketer, I over research the people that reach out to me. And, just like you're saying, I pull back the curtain and say, like, how credible is this person? Is it even worth my time? But then when I respond in a way that's very human, and I get a bot that's coming back to me that's not, and so then I'm like, okay, I don't even want to deal with you, because it's the lag is just, it's too much. So how do you make sure that the bot is programmed to really have that conversation? And then when does the human element come in? Because you also mentioned that in your content.
Yeah, so we initially had started the solutions we provide around a product that we call Know Your Leads. So whether you're attracting new prospects organically, or you're doing that through paid traffic, or it's earned traffic. So for example, the whole visibility media campaigns that we're doing, it's about earned traffic. Regardless, right? Traffic's coming in. Then the question becomes, well, how are you following up with them? Because I can tell you in talks that I've done, when I ask my small business owners, how many of you have a follow-up strategy, 0% of hands go up.
Oh,
Nobody has a follow-up strategy. They just really don't, right?
wow.
And so what starts to happen is, like, maybe you have, let's say you're a bigger company, you have a sales team, people that are saying, hey, it looks like you filled out this form and what have you. Normally, these teams, even like a team, so to speak, maybe follow up once or twice.
Wow.
80% of the sales teams will follow up 3 times at best, and then they just kind of tail off. And so what starts to happen is that those leads go cold.
Wow.
Okay. And so the reality, especially in this microwave society, where we're like constantly bombarded with messages and what have you, people aren't paying attention. And the reality is that only 3% of the market is ready to buy from you right now. 3%.
Wow.
So even though 100 people land on your website checking you out, only 3% of those people are ready to even entertain buying. But we stop following up with them, and this is where we do the media campaigns that we do to help you get more traffic, to help you earn more traffic. Then
Mhm.
what we do is there's a sweet spot on following up. And so your initial question was around how do you personalize it?
Mhm.
Again, I'm a marketer at heart. I understand brand personality. A lot of these AI bot things that people do, they don't understand these brand tone, brand personality, brand essence. What is your brand about? We do program that inside of our solution so that it has a highest probability of showing up and hyper personalizing the communication so that it's as close to as a reflection of you as possible.
Wow.
And what I mean by personalized is that we want everyone has, a digital footprint. And
Mhm.
that digital footprint, if you have social media, you have a digital footprint. And somebody's like, I want to be private. I want to be off grid. I'm like, guess what? As soon as you opened up that bank account, you're pretty much kind of public information. I hate to tell you. So the idea here is that we get to know more about that particular prospect so that the messages that is being sent to them are personalized to what they would care about in the tone, still a reflection of the brand, but we
Mhm.
want to make sure that we're catering to that particular client. Okay. Then
Nice.
what starts to happen that by the time, whenever they're ready, because we know that only 3% of the market is ready, by the time that they're ready, you have nurtured, you have hopefully built trust so that when it goes to the human, right, in order to close that deal, that particular person is so warmed up. They know about your brand. We utilize the storytelling and all the other important aspects of it so that it's presumably an easier close. It's an easier way for you to close that particular project.
Amazing. I love that.
Mhm.
So I think I really like what you said there is that, you are a marketer at heart and you recognize like where we started the conversation, brand positioning, brand personality are really important. And even for all of these tools that AI is doing, you can't, we don't want to get to the place where we're taking the creativity and we're taking the humanity out of it because that's when
Exactly.
you're going to lose people and you're not going to be different. And so just keep that in mind as you're building your AI agents or whoever you interview to help you. Someone like Patty is going to bring your humanity to your funnel. So I love that that is what you guys focus on. Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important. I mean, so even though we're in the era of AI, it doesn't mean that we have to forego the human essence of the brand because that's the thing that makes you different. So
Yes.
we want to highlight that.
Yes. That's so true. And, on that point is, I meet a lot of coaches, everybody's, a mindset coach or a wealth coach, and there's a whole lot of them out there and you kind of get discouraged, but it's really focusing in on that uniqueness that is going to get you clients because there can be, we know that there's millions of real estate agents, but they choose you because there's something about you specifically that they want you to help them handle this very important decision. And the same is true for whatever business you're in. So I think the big takeaway from this conversation is yes, you can use AI and you don't have to lose your personality in it, and just making sure that you find the right people to help
Yeah,
you keep that humanity. Oh my gosh, Patty,
that's it.
thank you. That's what we need so badly. So now I want to kind of bring it all together because in that last, little bit of conversation, you talked a little bit about the sales piece and we've kind of been talking about marketing, but this really is a combination of the two things is that you help them bring in the leads, but then also the way that the AI agent talks to them and then brings them to the place where now they need to get on the phone, what that conversation looks like and how they can, where they jump in and then where the AI bot comes in for that number of follow-ups. So what is the ideal number of follow-ups that you found? Can we share that secret?
Yeah, it's actually, I mean, it comes from a great book called The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. And he wrote it quite a long time ago. And he's like, people, it takes 9, 10 times. I honestly think it takes way more than that now, right? Because he
Mhm.
wrote that book in the mid 2000, early 2000s. It's, 20 years later. It's still I mean, it's a masterpiece of like a book in terms of ideas and thoughts and the importance of following up and whatnot. I think the thing is, it's definitely more than, 10, 11, 12. There was a Harvard Business Review article that said it's about 27, 28, which is
Oh,
insane. But so here's the thing, here's the key. Maybe the initial reaction and you all hearing that is like, oh my gosh, how can I even compete? This is where AI can help you with that consistency. So I have a mentor, my dear mentor, who told me once, he's like, nobody is ever consistent, and the people that are the ones that win.
yeah,
Meaning, what if you could leverage things like AI to make sure that you have that consistency in place that leverages your time, it frees you up, because again, if we know these elements, that follow up is essential. Your
yeah,
competition is probably not following up. So if you want a competitive edge, have follow up in place, right? You're going to stand out. They're going to be like, wow, this is incredible, like you're really standing out. This person is top of mind, right? When I'm ready, I'm going to go to you, Danny, because you've been serving up the good stuff from forever, and I'm ready. I mean, I know I've had that where people have been on my list or something. Oh, I've been watching you for 2 years. I'm like, oh my gosh, it took 2 years, but that's okay. That's their journey, right? So that's why having these elements in place are so essential, so that it gives you that more leverage that you're looking for. So you don't have to be following up all the time
yeah,
personally,
yeah.
right?
Well, fantastic, because that's, you're solving a very big problem for solopreneurs. It feels like you have to have this massive sales team to be able to, have the volume of follow-up. But what you're just saying there is, hey, let's take that off of your plate. And you don't even have to worry about the consistency or, before AI, like trying to think of like, what do I say now?
Right.
I mean, it in there.
Right. Exactly. Oh my gosh, so true. And here's the thing, it's like I just heard somebody say, and this was so brilliant. She's like, everybody talks about having like this multi-million dollar business. She's like, what if I just want a regular solopreneur lifestyle business? What's wrong with that? I was like, good for you, girl, because that's exactly what it is. Right? It's like, what if you can really leverage these tools in AI to develop and have the systems? It says, gosh, I wish somebody would have told me this sooner. Have systems in place so
Yeah,
that you do the thing that you do best. You stay in your zone of genius, and all the other stuff that's pesky, you're putting on the back burner, can be taken care of by AI. And then you have the lifestyle business, because that's what matters the most to you. You
yeah.
could do that now. That's what's so exciting to me. It really is.
Oh my gosh, I love that because it's so funny. In my marketing copy, I say because I am so tired of this personally, is like every single person that shows up in my DMs is promising me to be a millionaire. And it's like I don't even care about being a millionaire. I did this because I want balance in my life and I just, want to be able to help people. So stop
Yeah.
promising me to be a millionaire. So I like that you said that. It's like reaching people where they're at and what they're truly looking for. And it sounds like you can help program that.
Yes, yes. And it's such a great time in order to do that. And so it's about really getting clear as a small business owner around what kind of business you want. What do you have clarity, just like you said, like people can't articulate what it is that they do in a way that's compelling enough to capture mind share. So much of this is around gaining that clarity before you have and can put yourself out there consistently, and then having the systems to do all that pesky mundane work that you don't want to do, so that you can stay in your zone of genius. That's literally what business is, in the most optimal way.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So anybody that is listening, like you're hearing it here, like Patty, just like her experience in corporate, her experience as an entrepreneur, she's pulling it all together from, the moment somebody encounters you all the way to the follow-up and the sale. Like she's got these tools that can help you and the genius to bring your personality into it. I'm going to steal that word mind share because I love that. So
It is. It's true. It's mind share. Are you capturing mind share? And So if I may, one of the easiest things you can do, and I tell people this, is I'm like, even if you were to go on your social media platform, like, so like say, on Facebook, I'm not on Facebook at all, or like on LinkedIn, and asking your friends, your peers, former colleagues, um, coaches, mentors, even just say, hey, I'm doing kind of like an unofficial study on what my positioning is. What is a word or two that comes to mind when you think about me? Or how would you describe me in 3 words? Then you're going to start to see where people come back, and then you're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. So that it kind of gives you a perspective. Or if they are not saying what you really want them to say, then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm really missing the boat. I have things to work on.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that so much better. Because I've been told a version of that, but it was like, hey, can you tell me 3 things you like about me? But I like it where you put it in that it's like 3 things that you know about me or 3 words that come to mind. It makes it a little less like this, brag fest.
Right, right, right.
So that's awesome.
Yes, exactly.
Great. Well, oh my gosh, this has been such a fantastic conversation, Patty. And I think that I know there's no doubt in my mind that what you are delivering is going to help so many entrepreneurs and solopreneurs. And just like, my passion is to help women find balance in their lives and be able to get back to spending time with their family. And I think tools like this really help because at the end of the day, a lot of us got into this business because that is what we want. It's not about millionaire status. It's about finding balance, and you've created a tool that will give that to us. So thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you, Danny. Thanks for the opportunity. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Thanks. Well, so if anybody wants to get in touch with you and chat with you and take advantage of what you have to offer, where can they find you?
Sure, you can go to my LinkedIn. I post articles about things going on in AI, but I'm not a coder. I'm not a software engineer. I do it in everyday speak. You can catch that on LinkedIn. And for more information on what we do, how we help, problems we solve, you can go to moreleverage.io. IO at the end and not .com. So moreleverage.io.
We're shut out. Awesome. Thank you. Well, and as you all know, I will have this on the happylifeagenda.com. I'll be posting Patty's bio and her headshot, and then, linking back to some of the things that she's talked about today so that you can easily find her if you're driving and can't write that down. So I want to thank you all for listening today. As I started this conversation, the Happy Life Agenda is dedicated to creating change that empowers you to live your happiest life. And Patty's, been a pioneer in the technology industry, in corporate America, and entrepreneurship. And now she's unlocking the world of AI to show what women can accomplish when you think outside the box and when you reach out to people in your network to help you become a better, stronger woman and entrepreneur and mom, friend, wife. So thank you again, Patty. And if you want to transform your life, you guys are in the right place. So reach out to me, reach out to Patty. We are on social media. Whenever I finish this podcast, we have the shorts that go live. Please comment in there. I mean, Patty and I will jump in there and have this conversation with you because
Yeah.
the Happy Life Agenda is about creating that network where we can communicate and support each other. And that's the only way that we're going to transform society to bring back the balance, that allows us to have more time with our families and still make money and have fulfilling careers. Thank you, Patty, so much. I'll leave you all with that. And make sure you click subscribe below and follow us on social media. We'll talk to y'all soon.